Hello and welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are strip grazing the cattle. So with these, there's two cows here. These are the heifers, the teaser bull, two calves and the two cows. She's a cow and that one behind her is the cow as well, and they're the two calves over there. There's a video on the channel about letting them out with the heifers and the reason why. So if you haven't watched that and you want to know why we let the two cows and the two calves out with the heifers and the teaser bull, you can go and watch that video. But today we are going moving the fence in a bit more for these lot. The fence gets moved in twice a day because there is a lot of them in it, and we don't give them a whole pile of it. We don't give them a whole lot. And as you can see where the fence is now to where it ends, they've nearly strip grazed this whole field, which is about 6 acres, 7 acre field. So what we usually do if the fence needs to be moved, there's two ways of doing this. At the far end over there, there's a wooden stake and a handle. That stake you have to root up, move it over to a certain area and then hammer it down into place again. Here all we do is take off the windy yoke there and move it into the next wooden stake, and so on and so forth. But when you don't always need to do that, another thing we do is just lift up the plastic stake and push it in a small bit. That fence is on, so what I need to do is move this one in a bit, and then I can move that other one in a bit more. Let's put that camera down. So that's what we do, and you're giving them that extra bit of grass. You cannot really see it now because this small section here is covered in rushes, but the further down we go you'll be able to see the grass. So you can see we're giving them an extra bit of grass there, but I'll show you more once we get out of the thick rushes and that type of brush. Yeah. So you can see where the stake was here, where the grass is eaten and where the fresh grass is, and we moved it in about 2 or 3 foot. So we give them about 2 or 3 foot every time, and obviously that fence gets moved twice a day. The heifers as well are getting on nicely, as you can see, but you can see as well on the ground that they are eating it, they are strip grazing it as low as possible. That's the reason why we strip graze it. So you can see that extra bit of grass they're getting, and this is the morning time I'm moving this. So in the evening time around 7 or 8 o'clock we'll move it in another 2 or 3 foot, the plastic stakes. What I might do is just plot the camera here on this wooden stake, and then you'll have a good view of me just moving in the plastic stakes, or I should call them the pigtail stakes. So now the plastic stakes are moved in. Obviously the wire from that pigtail stake is coming in at an angle to that wooden stake. Come the evening time now, we mightn't be able to move those pigtail stakes in anymore. We could reach, their limit is reached, so we'll have to move that wooden stake in, and the twisty yoke down below, we'll have to move that in, and that'll give us then 2 days of just moving the pigtail stakes in. But we strip graze them. The wire gets moved twice a day, morning and then in the evening, and that gives them enough of grass. They've enough of grass there to eat. Instead of letting them into the lot, because they'll trample more than they would eat more, especially with the amount of them that's in it. You know, it's just easier this way. And they have their drinker, water drinker down below, so that sorts them out as well. Also, another thing, once they reach the limit here, once they've strip grazed all the way up to the wire there's a barbed wire up along the trees there. Once they strip graze all the way up to that, there's a small grass section just over here. If we can, I'll show you now. Hard to keep the camera still when you're walking. But yeah, here, the reason we fenced this far back where the wire is now to where the tree lines is there is mainly because the rushes, those rushes were they weren't sprayed. When we sprayed the rushes, you're supposed to leave them 2 weeks before you can graze or cut them, but it was getting quite late on in the year and the slurry pit was getting quite full, so we had to get heifers and cattle out. So anywhere there was rushes, we put that fence out, but those rushes now have been sprayed 3 or 4 weeks, or a month more, 6 weeks maybe. So once they've strip grazed going that direction, we'll either just let them into all that grass or start strip grazing them that way. If it was me, I'd start strip grazing them that way, because there still is a lot of grass there, you know, and rather than just let them into the whole lot. They won't be there 2 days if you let them into the whole lot, because they'll have a lot of it trampled. So I think strip grazing it is better. Get the most out of your grass as possible, because it is quite long, that grass. It's not long enough to get silage or anything off it, but there's still a lot of grass in there, there's still a lot of feeding in there, and you're better to get the cattle to eat the grass, as much of the grass as possible, rather than them trample more than eat it, which is why we strip graze. So that's the heifers and the cows done here. We have the 2 dry cows below at the back of the house. They're getting strip grazed as well, so we'll go over and see how they're getting on. And while we're over there, once we finish strip grazing them, we'll go over and check on the bullocks and see do they need their wire moved, because they're also getting strip grazed. So everything seems to be right here. I'll put the camera down. I'll have a quick look at their backs to make sure there's no mark on them from the teaser bull. There's a couple of old marks on this one, paint on her back, whether or not you can see it, but we bulled her a couple of days ago, so that's old paint that's on her. So I'll just go around look for any fresh paint that was left by the teaser bull himself, and they might have to be bulled then either this evening or tomorrow morning. So the next time you'll see me, I will be strip grazing the 2 dry cows. So we'll see ya until then. Right, so we're down at the dry cows. They're just down there at the trough. We've given them meal to distract them for a short while. I also have my crowbar and my sledgehammer in case we need to move the stakes down here, which I'll show you now in a minute. But we gave them meal to sort of distract them while I'm moving the fence here. So you can see the system we have set up. We have a mushroom here. The wire was all the way down to a mushroom there, all the way down to the far end where there's a stake. So we won't be able to push the pigtail stakes in anymore, so we're going to have to probably move that mushroom down to that wooden stake there. The reason we have the tape going across there is because the barbed wire behind it is on the fritz a small bit. It's a bit loose, a bit slag. It's not going to really stop the cows at all. So we have the electric tape put up as extra precaution as well. So we're strip grazing the cows that way, because you can see the grass there. There's not a whole pile of grass there in patches, but in other patches there's quite a nice bit. So you can see down here as well, or hopefully, that you're not going to be able to move the stake in that much either. You could probably move a couple of them stakes in yet, we're finished, but down below where the mushroom is, you're not going to. So yeah, I am going to, what I'll have to do is, we're going to have to put a schleck for a minute, because I'm going to have to untie at the far end, reel out the amount that I need so I can push the stake in more. And I came down with the bucket of mail, I gave the two cows their mail, I came to look at the fence, I realised the wooden stake is going to have to be moved, so I had to go back, get the crowbar and the sledgehammer, and I shouldn't have given them their mail. I should have checked that first, get all the tins I needed, and then give them their mail, and I would have plenty of time to move it without the hassle of them being here. Yes, I went absolutely backwards there about things, but we should manage. We should manage. Anyways, I'll have to turn off the electric tape here, reel out some more of this, and just see how we get on. As you know, there's not much tape there to reel out to move it down. Anyways, we'll see how we get on. Okay, so I have the mushroom that was tied onto this post, move over to the far post there. I have the fence slackened, whether you can see it on camera or not. It has to be slackened so that the timber post, the far side, I'll be able to move it in, and as I'm moving it in, it'll tighten the tape up itself. If I tighten the tape up at this post here, I won't be able to move the wooden stake down below over, because it'll be too tight. So it has to be slack to move the timber post over. So that's all that set up there. I have my sledgehammer and crowbar down below. I have the hole made for the timber stake to move into. I have the crowbar left into that hole to mark it so I know exactly where it is. And I have the sledgehammer down here as well. And the timber stake here loosened. So all I have to do is pull it up. And you can see that it's slack. But it has to be when I move it in. So that's where it has to go, where that crowbar is, and it should be roughly more or less in line where that crowbar is, where it's tied up above, more or less in a straight line. If it's off a small bit, it's not really a big deal. So yeah, that timber stake is loose. All I have to do is lift it up like that, and sledgehammer there. Let's see, can I sledge it? And that's everything tightened up. As you can see, all the slag is gone in it. But anyways, everything, there's a very small bit of slag in the fence, but once we power it up they won't go near it. And the reason why there is just that small little bit of slag in the fence is that come the evening time, well, they probably have enough of grass there for today, so maybe come tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening, all I have to do is move in is move in the pigtail stakes enough, and that should give them an extra 2 or 3 foot then. So that's why there's that little bit of slag in it, but it's not too much. The wire is still up. Even if you see it on camera, you probably won't even see that much slag in it. But that's why there's just that tinsy wincy small bit of slag in it, just to move the pigtail stakes in an extra 2 or 3 foot. But we'll better bring these tools up, and we better power that fence back up, and then we'll go over to the bullocks and see what their situation is. So I'll throw these in the boot of the car in case we do need them, and we will get a book in the mail for them as well, and do them. Yeah, let's get to it. And also I put the camera on this pigtail stake here, thinking it would be alright for when I was sledging down the wooden stake, and then when I came back it was at a very low angle, so it moved when I was sledging, because I believe either the vibration in the ground, or I did have, as you can see it there now, it's tied. I didn't have it tied when I was sledging it, I just had it clipped in. So maybe when I was then sledging it down, that vibration of the wire was vibrating the stake itself, which moved the camera. So I do apologise for that. I didn't know that would have happened, so yeah. Anyways, power this fence up and let's go and check on the bullocks. We're back at the bullocks. They're down there. I gave them their bucket of mail, so they should be happy out and distracted for a minute or two. Hopefully, because this is another, like the 2 dry cows situation, this is another complicated one, because you have to loosen at that stake there, you have to loosen at that stake there, you have to loosen this side, and you have to loosen up the first side. So you have to loosen up a lot of things and leave a lot of slack. And obviously there's a reeler there, so you'll have to reel out whatever amount you need when you're pushing it back. So hopefully I don't need to do that. It's only a situation where I have to move the plastic stakes in. And at first glance it's looking pretty good on that end. Or is it? Don't know. There's a bit of slack in the fence there. You can see it sort of moving away ever so freely with the wind blowing. But this one is coming at an angle, so I don't really know. We might have to move it. We'll see. Because as I mentioned, it is a big bloody contract to do this one. It's another 2-man job. So I have to be careful because that fence is on. So I'll put the camera down on that wooden stake over there, and I'll move in a couple of stakes and see how I get on. And this one I mightn't be able to move in too much. I might be able to move in a little, but not a whole pile. We'll find out eventually. We'll soon find out. Right, I wasn't able to move this stake in a whole lot, but I started moving in a couple of them. You can see they have a bit of fresh grass there. They still have a bit of picking here as well, pickings there, so that should do. So as I'm going up further, like there's a blob of grass there for about a couple of feet, sticking out further than the rest of it, so they should have loads there. But what I was thinking when I was moving them in is I can, because they are moving in ever so slightly and they're getting maybe 2 foot of fresh grass to strip graze, which isn't too bad. What I was thinking when I was moving them in is sure, I can move in these plastic ones and pigtail shakes in further, in a foot or two, and then this evening when I have an extra pair of hands, you know, we can start moving in wooden stakes, because I think there's a wooden stake up above as well that needs to be moved in, and it's the same story down here, but we need to loosen down there below and get a bit of slack before we can actually move them in. It's not as simple as the heifer's fence, which is a lot easier. The only reason we have that fence going across down there along the ditch, and that it's not, we don't have a hook at that stake there and a hook at the stake up above like we do with the heifers situation, is that we did do that at first, but we came back one evening and weren't the bullocks within the drain there, so we had to put up an extra line of tape just along there, which obviously makes things a bit more complicated, and you know, that little bit more work to be done when strip grazing them. But we're getting there. We're getting there. We'll start moving in a bit more, I think. So yeah, the wire is moved and I'm at the top of the hill now, so I'll show you the situation that's going on up here. Just another wooden stake and tied to a screw tin. So every time you want to, that's at its tether now, you won't be able to move in those plastic stakes or pigtail stakes in anymore. So you'll have to start moving that wooden stake in a bit more the next time you want to move the tape, and obviously the stake down there. And the bullocks have finished their meal just in time. But that's the fence move, to have an extra picking of grass to eat, which is not too bad. You can see all the grass there, whether or not, well, they probably are in the way, but you can see we have a nice bit of grass there. Strip grazing them, and they are eating the grass as well, but they're not eating it as low as we would have liked them to. They're still leaving a lot left. The only problem with strip grazing younger cattle, cows is different. Cows will tend to eat the grass down lower, but the likes of these lads here and the heifers at home, you know, like the types of the Wainlands, or the Wainlands are the ones that are coming on 2 years or are 2 years of age. When you're strip grazing them, they tend to stay that side of the field most often, where the grass is, where the food is, and that's where they do their toilet business as well. So every time they do their number twos, they don't tend to eat the grass around that area. So you can see there's dung plotted all over the place, and it's more in this area because that's where the grass is. That's where they spend most of their time. But they don't tend to eat the grass too close, which is why it's not really as low as the grass where the dry cows are, and maybe even where the heifers are, because they have cows there among them. But yeah, it's not too bad. Once we have this, a lot of this strip graze, we can come in and start topping this and just get rid of the rushes that are lying about, and any of the tawny grass that's there as well. Same where the two dry cows are, we could just top the grass in there as well, get rid of any tawny grass, and where the heifers are as well. Anywhere where strip grazing cattle we could eventually top, just to get rid of that old grass that they didn't eat, and any of the tawny grass that they didn't eat. Get rid of that by topping it. So yeah, but that's basically the routine. Every morning and every evening we strip graze and move the fence for the heifers, and the tees, the bull and the 2 cows and calves. We strip graze, move the fence twice a day for the 2 dry cows. Well, not twice a day for the dry cows, maybe once a day, because there's only 2 of them in it. So twice a day for where the heifers are. Their fence moves twice a day. The 2 dry cows, they get moved once a day, and the bullocks here, probably once or twice a day, depending on how much you give them, and you know whether or not you need to move the wooden stakes, because as I mentioned, it's sort of a somewhat big contract to move the wooden stakes above there, because obviously we can't be spending our whole morning moving wooden stakes and wire and stuff, because you know it's a busy time of year, the summer. Evening time when things start to quiet down, you can do all that sort of stuff way easier. You're not rushing or panicking or any of that. But anyways, that is our strip grazing system, and that is going to be the end of today's video. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my merch, the link to that will be down in the description, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.